in the courtroom, and he is also one of my family members as well, and that will be Wais Haider. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to make it here today. It's obviously never our hope to have to meet under these circumstances, but it's comforting to see that our community can come together in times of despair. We are gathered here today not only to honor the 16 civilians that were brutally slaughtered just 1 week ago, but to remember the thousands of Afghan civilian deaths resulting from insurgent and foreign military action in this decade-long war in Afghanistan, as well as the deaths of tens of thousands of Afghan civilians as a consequence of disease, displacement, starvation, exposure, lack of medical treatment, crime and lawlessness resulting from the war. You don't need to identify with a specific political party or affiliate yourself with a particular political strategy regarding the US occupation to appreciate what we are uniting for. Regardless of whether you are Catholic, Christian, Jewish or Muslim, if you have compassion for humanity and oppose the senseless killings of innocent civilians, then you support our mission here today. During the last 3 months, occupying military forces have urinated on dead Afghan bodies, burned and desecrated our holy Quran, slain the Afghan people and collected their body parts as war trophies, and now the events of last Sunday, where Army Staff Sergeant Robert Bale walked into 2 households in the Afghan district of Panjwaj, 15 miles southwest of Kandahar, and massacred 16 innocent civilians, among them 9 children. But I guess we should all be satisfied, right? After all, President Obama did apologize and offer his deepest condolences to the families of those killed. But wait, I thought we heard that apology when our body parts were collected as war trophies. And I thought we heard it when Afghans were urinated on. Then again, when our holy book was reduced to ashes. With all due respect, Mr. President, your pre-scripted, recycled apologies for these atrocious acts carry no value after a decade of warfare and thousands of civilian casualties. Are we mad and infuriated over these incidents? I said, are we incensed and outraged that our innocent Afghans are being exploited and murdered? Well, you know what? You have a right to be. And I'm enraged right there with you. But we will not allow our anger to distort our message or mask our demands for justice. Justice must be served for not only the victims, but for like 64-year-old Abdul Samad, who lost his wife, 4 daughters, and 4 sons in this tragedy. For the sake of Mr. Samad and all Afghans, justice must not only be done, but it must be seen to be done. Transparency in an investigation and any subsequent trial is essential to this process. According to the United Nations, the number of Afghan civilian deaths as a result of the conflict in Afghanistan has risen for the 5th consecutive year. Furthermore, drone attacks that kill civilians, those drone attacks that kill civilians are classified as collateral damage because the dead civilians weren't specifically targeted. This category is treated as an unfortunate consequence of war, not murder. Well, do you think the Afghan people are concerned with how you identify or label their dead brothers and sisters in your statistics? I don't think so. We must treat these deaths for what they are. At the end of the day, all it is, when the smoke is cleared, more bloodshed for the Afghans to clean up. We must treat these deaths for what they are, not the tragic collateral damage of an intractable war, but the innocent deaths of these children and the execution of innocent human beings. And can we bring back those lost lives? No, we can't. all we can do is hope for progress, something that's been marginal at best in the decades since troops have been deployed. And what's disturbing is that already the conversation has turned to the strategic partnership between the US and Afghanistan, when what the focus needs to be is the prevention of innocent lives. All of us here today are witnessing the longest war in US history, yet they're still there. Perhaps because they have incurred such a cost by entering Afghanistan that they can't bear to consider disinvesting. Or maybe it's because its national reputation is at stake. Well, do you think nighttime raids and drone attacks on villages of women and children earn you respect? No. It doesn't. To the Afghan people, credibility and the value of progress towards peace will be strictly measured by reduced civilian casualties. And do I support troop withdrawal? It doesn't matter, because my opinions are irrelevant today. I refuse to use the massacre of innocent children and women as a platform for me to express my political ideologies. Mr. Obama, you on the other hand, seem to be fully concentrated on a timeline for withdrawal. But what significance is your timeline to the women and children being murdered in their sleep? How about instead of being so concerned with an exit strategy, you concern yourself with a present strategy, embracing a real commitment to preventing the lives of the Afghan people from being lost. I mean, if you're going to occupy our country in the name of peace and security as you claim, then don't do so through havoc and destruction. And in regards to the most recent tragedy, we've heard the excuses. We've heard them all. The government tells us this was just one rogue soldier who lost it. But was it? They tell us you can't seriously consider holding the whole military and US government accountable for these acts. These kind of things happen in war. But should they? They implied these heinous acts are due to a traumatic brain injury suffered in Iraq. Then tell me why you allowed him to have a rifle and gave him the opportunity to commit such ruthless acts against the Afghan people. I guess some of the answers can be found in the process that ultimately put this soldier back on the battlefield time and time again. He was stationed in Lewis McChord, which is the largest military base on the West Coast. The kill team of Stryker Brigade soldiers accused of murdering Afghan civilians for sport. A father accused of waterboarding his child. And a soldier accused of setting his wife on fire all came from this base. 12 suicides were reported last year among soldiers from Lewis McChord. So, is it just a coincidence that this base is under investigation for allegedly downgrading hundreds of PTSD diagnoses to other mental conditions? No. It's an effort to avoid costly PTSD benefits. PTSD diagnosis means a soldier can no longer be deployed and he can receive disability payments. So, you mean to tell me, Mr. Obama, that you establish a soldier has post-traumatic stress disorder, then you hand him a grenade and combat boots and send him back to the battlefield? The soldier for this barbaric acts is in a jail cell somewhere, but it mustn't end there. You must hold accountable anybody affiliated with concluding that this soldier was fit to serve in war. In addition, it is imperative that the psychological assessments of these soldiers not only be reevaluated, but done so on a consistent basis. The days of proposals and requests are over, Mr. President. The Afghan people expect change. Apology after apology has no merit, and we demand that you take action. You know what the only thing worse than 10 years of war is? standing here and addressing the same issues another 10 years from now. How can you, not as the President of the United States, but as a human being, talk about progress when Afghan civilians are dying in record numbers on the streets 11 years after this war began? Enough is enough. No longer can the innocent suffer in turmoil. We are too resilient to be oppressed by violence. And when I say this, I know it is the killing of innocent Afghans that connects us here today, but we also speak for the Muslim brothers and sisters dying in Syria, Libya, Palestine, Egypt, and worldwide. And I speak for everybody when I say, spilling blood in the name of peace must end, and it must end now.